After selecting your team in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you're presented with a stage selection. Once the stage is set, the fighting can begin. You now have a background and corners on the left and right sides which prevent you from backing up endlessly. On a surface level, that's all there is to a stage, but there's a bit more to them than just serving as a setting. Vanilla MVC3 released on February 15, 2011 with 9 playable stages. Seeing as how this is a crossover game, the 9 stages are taken from original material from both Marvel and Capcom. 9 months later, the Ultimate version was released and would add 9 more stages, bringing the total to 18. It's worth noting that the additional stages aren't actually new, but rather alternative versions to the already existing stages in Marvel 3. It's a pretty nice throwback to Marvel vs. Capcom 2 though, where nearly all the stages had an alternate version as well. And before I forget, there's also 2 versions of the stage called Fate of the Earth, which is only accessible when fighting Galactus, the arcade mode boss, or selecting it from the Heroes vs. Heralds mode. From a gameplay perspective, Marvel 3 stages are more tall than wide, which is to be expected to go hand in hand with mechanics like super jumping and team aerial combos. Although getting to the absolute top requires more unconventional means, it's still cool that the game developers took the time to model the stages past a certain height, despite them not being normally seen in an average match. Most of the time, characters don't have much involvement in changing a stage visually. Certain moves can leave temporary cracks in the ground while others can leave bigger cracks that don't move until the same crack is triggered somewhere else on the screen. However, there are 3 stages that can be noticeably altered through some special circumstances, and those 3 are Daily Bugle, Kattlelox Island, and Tri-Cell Laboratory. Daily Bugle's change is the most simple of the 3. At the start, you'll see 2 photographers taking pictures of the battle. Whenever you jump after successfully landing a launcher, the guy in the blue suit would jump real high to get a nice picture of the aerial combo that would normally fall off the launcher. You gotta give props to a normal human for jumping to such a height. Kattlelox Island is next on our list, an area which serves as the main setting for Mega Man Legends. In the background, you'll see Legends characters Taiso and Tron Bone watching the fight. Unlike Daily Bugle, Kattlelox Island is only altered when, yup, you guessed it, Tron Bone is in play. Taiso alone would cheer Tron Bone on whenever she's on screen. Taiso is extremely biased and will only root for Tron when she shows up. Whenever Tron defeats a character, Taiso would jump for joy. Whenever Tron is defeated, Taiso will bow his head down in sadness for the remainder of the match. If there happens to be a Tron mirror match, Taiso will look at both Trons with a very confused expression and start cheering. If one Tron defeats the other, Taiso will display a unique animation of clapping his hands and shaking his head in approval. And finally, if one Tron is defeated and the other Tron comes into battle, Taiso will look up from the ground surprised to see his sister alive and well and then proceed to cheer her on. Quite a lot going on for a background character. The last stage altering happens in Tri-Cell Laboratory, an area that originates from the Resident Evil series. Remember how I said earlier that certain moves cause serious damage to the ground? Well, in Tri-Cell Laboratory, doing these same moves will cause the glass in the background to crack. Performing a move once more will cause the glass to break and the liquor enemies will start to scatter. Performing a move once again will kill any nearby liquors, and some of them will drop items. A direct reference to how enemies would do the same thing in the Resident Evil series. The items dropped would either be gold, herbs, grenades, or ammo. It's a really neat callback and just goes to show the kind of care that the developers put into this game. Stages even have their own theme that you can hear when setting the background music to dynamic. With the exception of the training room and danger room, every stage shares their dynamic theme with their alternative. Take a listen. I actually didn't find this out until making this video, but the intensity of the dynamic themes change when one or two characters are defeated. That's all I have for stages on a more casual level, but what about at a competitive one? Early in MVC3's competitive days, there were generally 4 stages that the majority of tournaments were played on: Training Room, Bond Wonderland, Shield Air Show, and Danger Room. These stages were the setting of some of the most hypest moments in Marvel 3 history.
That was awesome. So we have level 3 Frank in the building. X Factor to try to get away. What's he got? Oh!
Put him against the wall, and that's gonna be a dead Nova. Nova does not have a lot of health.
Oh, here we go! Here we go!
Is he doing it? Oh, Jack Geef, baby! Yo, Jack Geef! Somebody just lost the money.
Yo, where's this?
Any medium called Doom Plasma Beam, canceled into paper, and side exchange.
Wow, in the middle of the screen like that, huh?
Oh! What?
Oh
What?
my god!
Jeez, Ryan, no! Oh, he's dead! Oh my gosh!
Stage selection in tournaments really boils down to 2 aspects: visibility and lag. To spectators and even players, Marvel 3 can be a difficult game to follow because of its fast-paced combat, flashy colors, and assists taking up a lot of screen space. To make things clearer, people play on the more brighter stages where the characters are easily identifiable, although that can vary. This is where the stages Bond Wonderland, Shield Air Show, and Danger Room shine. They're bright stages with little going on in the background. The less going on, the less lag will interfere with the match. It's been known for a long time that PS3's performance in Marvel 3 has some frame rate issues. Sony would often sponsor many tournaments in the FGC, making PS3 the tournament standard console. Unfortunately, players would be dealing with the occasional slowdowns that would happen in their matches. Because of this, people tend to only play on the stages with more inactive backgrounds. Training Room is perhaps the safest stage in the game for this reason, as it tends to keep slowdowns to a minimum. It's why stages like Asgard are rarely played on. Despite its bright setting, there is simply too much going on in the background to make it a popular stage pick. Plenty of people have expressed their dissatisfaction with lag in their fighting games, so we'll do everything we can to reduce this so we don't end up blaming a console for our losses. These days, stage selection is mostly between Training Room and Bond Wonderland now, and that's okay because at the end of it all, we're just trying to pull off our combos to make for a fun MVC3 experience. To close this video off, I want to share with you an unused soundtrack that was found in the game's files for Marvel 3. Hidden in these files is a dynamic theme that was presumably supposed to be used for a stage originating from Okami. Because there's no Okami stage, this dynamic theme goes unused. Ryota Nitsuma, the producer of MVC3, had mentioned before that an Okami stage was planned, but it was scrapped due to clashes with MVC3's art style. There's no telling what kind of stage we could have gotten. All we can do is use our imagination. Thanks for watching.